Good morning. This is Janice Perkins with Capacity, and I'm joined today by Becky Tuttle, City Council, Wichita, Kansas. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you this morning?
I'm really good, thank you. The sun is
Good.
shining and it's warmer. That's good.
Absolutely. Spring is on the way.
Thank goodness. I keep repeating over and over again, I'm so thankful this didn't happen during winter.
I know. I keep saying that too.
Grateful heart, grateful heart. So I want you to start off today by telling us, do you have a top five list, or at least one thing that you desperately miss and can't wait till it comes back?
Ooh, I have so many. Eating out for sure. Not only just because the food and the convenience, but my husband and I try and eat locally and to local businesses and local restaurants. And so when you go to places frequently, you really establish relationships with the owners and the servers.
Mhm.
And so my heart really aches for them because of the challenges I know they're having financially, but I also miss those relationships.
I do too.
Even just things like, getting my nails done. It's not even about the vanity of having my nails done. It's that I've been going to the same place for more than 10 years and
Right.
have watched her children grow up and attended their weddings and graduations. And so still communicating, but just in different ways. But yeah, I'm ready when they tell us that we should be out to go and visit some of my friends who have local businesses.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The connections. So I want you to give me your on the bright side for what's going on in Wichita and Sedgwick County since all of the shelter at home began.
Sure. One of the things that I really want to do is to praise the county,
Mhm.
our county commissioners who serve as a board of health. I used to work at the county. I used to work at the health department. And when I was there, it was from 2007 to 2013. And it was during the H1N1 pandemic. And the H1 pandemic was nowhere near this, but we didn't know at the time. And
Mhm.
so I helped lead the initiative with my colleagues, and so I know to a very small extent what they're going through. But I also have great comfort that the county is trained and has qualified people who are leading this initiative. When I was there, we did trainings at least once a quarter for incidents such as this. So um, I really am grateful and thankful for the county and for their leadership and for especially the health department staff who are leading this initiative right now and have a lot of respect and a lot of prayers going their way every day.
No, I really appreciate you saying that, and I have been very impressed with how things have been communicated well, also. And sometimes it can be frustrating, but I really have appreciated the local media
Yeah,
support
I
for
agree.
communicating what's going on. I think I won't say the same praise for the national media yet for being helpful, but I think the local media is doing a really good job of providing positive news, communicating, helping people navigate this, and working really well with the county and city officials to make sure we know what's going on. So I would
Yeah.
agree. It looks, I mean, someone said to me the other day, it might be like, when a duck swims on water, it looks really smooth, but underneath it's churning. So I'm sure it's been very difficult.
Yeah.
But on the surface, it looks smooth. So I thank you all for your leadership and what's going on.
Well, and I tell people too that I think the most important thing that we can do during a time like this is to have grace. There are decisions that we are making. It's not even by the day. Sometimes it's not even by the hour. It's literally by the minute when we're getting new information. And, of course, at the end of this, we will look back and find things that we wish we would have done better. And to kind of Monday morning quarterback and say, oh, they shouldn't have done that, it is a luxury that we don't have at this point. So I really just respect when people have a lot of grace and understanding that everybody is doing the best they can, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that's all we can do. And for people to understand that situations are changing so quickly, but everybody has the best intention is probably something that we need to remember. And then, I think it's important to remember too that during this time, just to be really kind and helpful to each other. I see little random acts of kindness among my colleagues, but then also in the community, my friends, where I practice my faith, and people just doing little things, even if it's just I get a text with a funny joke. That just means so much right now. So
Mhm.
just that connection and that we're all in it together, right?
No, I would agree. I think grace in the moment is one of the most important lessons for all of us. We are all doing what we can with what we have. And for, all the parents in the world that are trying to now work from home and homeschool at the same time. The other thing I'm
Yes.
incredibly grateful for that I've said over and over again is I'm glad my kids aren't in elementary school.
I
And
know.
those people
Right.
giant banners and accolades, and we should throw a parade for all the parents who've been simultaneously homeschooling
Yes.
small children at home. What a challenge! So I think giving ourselves grace that
Yeah.
we're also I'm doing the best I can every day, and none of us know. It's like we're following a path and we can only see one stone at a time.
Yeah. And that's one thing I'm trying to do too is just kind of take it a little bit a day at a day. I mean, there are things that we're planning ahead. We're at the city obviously going to be dealing with some major budget issues and trying to plan for the rest of the year. But the things that I have control over that I can take day by day, one thing that I've been pretty steadfast about doing is still keeping my routine and getting up the same time that I used to. I get up, I get ready. The first couple days, I think it was probably, oh, I'm just going to wear sweatpants all day and maybe not take a shower. And then I realized really quickly that when this is over, and it will be over, it absolutely will, we're all going to have to go back to our routine. So trying to soften that blow later, but then also, just remembering every day, get up, still eat healthy. My husband and I are trying to keep some sort of schedule as far as meals and things like that. I think that's helping me a little bit just to feel a little bit more control and comfort.
No, I think it is too. I think, the routines might be slightly different, but I think having one, we're routine people, you know,
Yeah.
there aren't very many people that function with a nebulous, chaotic or vacuumous schedule. And, when you're faced kind of with this giant space, it feels weird to not be in a routine, even getting up. I just said I am really grateful that I'm not having to get up and get two teenagers ready for school before 7 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you that. We have eased up on the when we get up in the morning because of that. I don't want to go back to having to crack the whip.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing my husband and I said too is I keep thinking of at the end, and I've talked to several folks about this and some community leaders of not only do I want to come out of this with as much grace as I can and be proud of how I handled these difficult situations, but then also what have I learned from this as a person and not only work and professionally, but also my husband and I and we unfortunately like many people have incredibly busy schedules and probably ate out way too much and so are eating at home and really thinking about things like being grateful for the food that we have and that we have the ability to prepare it, we have the ability to get it, but then also, thinking about food waste and how before maybe I would have made 4 chicken breasts and known, we made for lunch, but we'll just put it in the fridge. And, now I'm being much more cautious and careful with the resources that we have and how precious they are. So I know that's one lesson that I definitely will take away from this when this is all over is not only the gratefulness for what I have, but then also the intentionality of how I'm using it.
Tell me from a psychological perspective, this isn't your expertise either, but it makes it interesting when you mention things like that. How do you feel as a culture and a city, we walk out of this with a shift in personality? What things do you think that you see sticking with us?
I, and again, I've talked about this with several folks, and my husband and I have had a lot of intentional conversations. I think that people are going to realize and me for sure, my voice is the only one I have, but what I took for granted.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you have 10 meetings in a day and I would complain about it, or I'm rushing from meeting to meeting, and now I'm longing for those days, right? Of being back with people. It's great to be able to interact like this, and I really appreciate the technology that we have. And it's certainly a blessing, and I think it's what's helping a lot of people stay connected. But I miss seeing people. I miss being around people. I'm very much. Fortunately, if you know me, I'm a hugger, and I can't wait to get back out and just really, let people know how much I appreciate them and respect that they do. So I think I think people will have a lot more respect for what we have and appreciate small things. Like this morning when I woke up and saw the sun, I often joke that I'm solar powered, and I just said, oh my gosh, it's sunny, yay. And if it were a normal Wednesday, I probably wouldn't have even thought that.
Right.
So just
No,
little
I
things like
understand.
that.
And the thing that I find beautiful is seeing everyone outside.
Yeah,
And
I've never seen so many people walk and bike, and I love that. Another thing that I want to mention too, when people, what will get on the other side is when we think of heroes, I think all of us automatically go to police and to fire, as we should. Our first responders are amazing professionals in our community who should always be respected and praised for what they do. But, I was having a conversation with Mr. Layton, who's our city manager, and we were talking about our custodial staff who are coming in every day in the evening and doing extra deep cleaning, or our transit operators, obviously our healthcare heroes. But I think there's a lot of unsung heroes
Mhm.
that, are going to really be recognized when this is over. And I've said this repeatedly, when this is over, and we know it will be, I am excited to hear the stories at the local, state, national, and world level of people who stepped up during really unprecedented times and did things that used to be ordinary that are now considered extraordinary.
I would too. I think that the ingenuity of the human spirit that we're going to hear and see, and I already hear stories that are blowing my mind. I'm so impressed with the school systems.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with the agencies that are continuing to serve and do things in a completely different subset
Yeah.
of rules and make sure their clients' needs are met. And so I love seeing the creativity that this is
Yeah.
pushing, that I think is going to be, it's part of what I'm glad is sticking. There's trajectories for businesses as well as nonprofits and individuals that have been permanently changed for the better for all of us.
Yeah. And I hope we remember that. I think as human beings, we often have an extraordinary situation, whether it be good or bad, and then we kind of fall back into our routine, right? And that's one thing that I hope, 6 months, a year from now, we're all cognizant of the lessons that we've learned from this and just don't fall back into how we used to do things. But remember the intentionality and the gratefulness that we're seeing now, and hopefully the kindness that we're extending to each other during these really challenging times.
I would agree. I would agree. So tell me, what is something that a business, whether, there are so many facets of business, with layoffs and furloughs and closures and all kinds of things, but what is something that you would recommend that a business could do today that could be helpful?
Yeah, I think that, and again, we've had a lot of intentional conversations at the city level, and I have constituents who are reaching out to me who are, my heart aches for them if they're small businesses and they're struggling or they don't know if they're going to be able to reopen. But what we're finding is that the businesses, either small or large, that can adapt and are the most flexible and can change, just like you mentioned, can change how they deliver service. Some can't. I mean, if you're direct service, that's all you can do. But, I see restaurants that maybe carry out wasn't their main objective or never even had carry out. I was watching a business channel the other day, and Steak and Shake, which is a company we don't have here in Wichita, but in cities I've lived in the past have, and now they're doing their meals, but all the ingredients, and you prepare it at home. So you can have their dining experience, but you can do it yourself. And I just thought that was a fascinating idea and something that they never would have thought of if
Hmm.
this hadn't happened.
Yes.
And again, that's one of those little gems that you think, wow, those are people that are creative and adaptive. And I think the more adaptive you can be, that's going to lead to future success. And I think that's true in all of us. I believe in adaptive leadership, and this is where we're really seeing that rise to the top.
No, I would completely agree. And again, I am hearing stories from all over the place of things like that happening with startups, with existing businesses. And I love hearing it because I think it's part of that, pressure cooker. We're
Yeah.
put in a device and we're squeezed. And if we really sit in it for a minute and not panic and rest in it, have a grateful spirit, I think it's just bubbling to the surface.
Yeah. When we say this is the way we've always done it, and oftentimes at the city, I'll say, if any conversation starts off with this is the way we've always done it, we need to stop the conversation, right? And so again, my heart aches for businesses that are direct service that don't have that flexibility, but for the ones who do, really thinking outside the box, and even within the city, we're changing things. We're changing the way we deliver services, the way we provide services to our community. And for that, the amazing leadership team that we have, not only with our city manager and assistant city managers, but our incredibly capable and competent content experts who are our department heads, should all be praised, because I'm seeing some really creative and unique ideas that probably wouldn't have come forth if it wasn't for this. So I've always thought, and I'm a big fan of the Kansas Leadership Center. And
Yeah.
one of the things that they talk about is leadership is not authority, and leadership is not power, and that anyone can be a leader at any time. Whoever is the best person at the time to be the leader should be. It's not power and authority. And we're seeing some great examples of that, where department heads are really stepping up with some great ideas.
That's wonderful. And I want you to also give us enlightening information about how you are staying connected with your relationships. How are you and your husband surviving at home, being together all the time? It's the two bookends, right? Like we
Right.
miss the people we don't get to see and touch, but then we're also, stuck with the people we live with all the time more. So
Yeah.
give me the balance of that relationally.
Yeah, and I've said this a couple times to other folks, that my husband and I are both incredibly busy people, and we love that. We're both extroverts and people powered, and so we're never at home, and we were never at home together, except in the evenings or in the mornings getting ready. And so one of the things that we did as a couple is, when this started, we sat down and developed some ground rules, if you will,
Mhm.
and just said, there are going to be times when both of us are really angry at each other for no reason. It's because we have stress from work, or we have stress from family, or whatever it may be. And so when that happens, just say, I'm not doing okay right now. Can I go for a walk? Can you go for a walk? Whatever it may be. We're trying very hard to be role models for staying at home and sheltering in place. And so our movement outside of our home is limited, but we both have kind of set up some workspaces. We've tried to set up our routine, but then just also having that communication of, it's okay to say, I'm really struggling and you're getting on my nerves, because I just need some time. And so that, I think, helped us, that we did that in the beginning and not after we had some issues. And then with people, every day, my friends and my family and my work colleagues, maybe one of the highlights from all this is I've never had so many funny memes in my life being texted to me, sometimes more than I can keep up with, but not to make light of a very serious situation, but they are bringing some levity to people. So I'm trying to share those, but then also just checking in with people and saying, hey, do you have everything you need physically? But I'm just thinking about you today. And I think that helps. When I get one of those, it's very heartfelt for me, and that means a lot. So that's what I'm trying to also replicate for other people.
No, I think that's really important. It's the intentionality. And
Yeah.
because we have time, in our hectic chaos, we didn't take the space for that. And I do. I find that intentionality is really important in relationships. Also, for me as an individual, I'm more intentional about self-care, so I don't get, frustrated with my kids being at home doing homework while I'm trying to work and all those things. Tell me what is your on the bright side? What have you found for you that's your silver lining in all of this?
Really, just I think the amazing stories of what would before seem small things people are doing, but now seem like really big things. The other thing, kind of a silly thing, but I've taken some time too to get my house in order, and I really almost mean my house in order. My house has never been cleaner. My husband and I fight over who's going to fold the laundry now. I was joking with someone, in the beginning it was kind of just trying to fill the space, but now it's just being more intentional again with my time and the resources that I have, but just kind of reprioritizing a little bit, you know, and what used to be kind of drudgery of cleaning my house or cooking meals, now it's something that we're looking forward to doing and looking forward to doing together, which, I hope 2 or 3 months from now, I'm still excited about vacuuming like I am now. But, I've cleaned out closets. We reorganized our office. We took the time to, do some things in the garage, little things that before we would have, dreaded. And now we're like, oh my gosh, this was a great opportunity while we have some time and
Mhm.
our world is different, just to look at things like that. And hopefully some habits that I'll continue in the future.
It's almost like, before you had kids and you were nesting, I feel like that's kind of the urge. If this is my nest, I should clean it a little bit more and not
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can kind of relate it to, is it feels a little bit like right before the baby was born, like I need to get everything in order. So
Yeah.
that's kind of funny. So I thank you so much for joining me today, Becky. I really appreciate you. I love your insight. I thank you all for all your hard work and what you're doing and your dedication to protecting Wichita. So thank you for joining me on The Bright
Yeah.
Side.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And please, just everyone, it's been a couple months or a couple weeks. We're getting to hopefully the end, but it is tempting to get out more and maybe, kind of fall back into our own routine. But for this initiative to be successful, we really need people to continue to stay at home
Mhm.
and to try and social distance, and make sure that if you are feeling sick, that you definitely stay at home, you cover your cough, you wash your hands. Like with anything, we maybe kind of fall out of the routine after a while, but the end isn't here yet. So let's keep it up, and that's what will get us all at the other side. So thank you again for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.